What's up, y'all? Today I want to talk to you about something that is normally socially taboo. The topic of mental conditions, or what are medically termed as mental illnesses, but I personally like to call alternate states of consciousness or different states of mind. For this topic, I'll be talking about depression, depersonalization, and derealization, and how they are not a curse, they're not an illness, and they're in fact gifts. Those of you who have experienced or are experiencing depression, derealization, or depersonalization, or all of the above, are probably thinking, what does this guy know about any of these conditions? I bet he's never experienced them before. I had a near death experience my sophomore year of high school, and it led to full blown PTSD, and it was accompanied by depression, derealization, and depersonalization. The next day, I was just happy to have made it through, but at the same time, I realized that there was something different. I didn't feel the same, and I started to feel heart palpitations and just full blown anxiety. It felt like I could feel my heartbeat in my chest, and it just felt just so loud. It was like my entire body was throbbing with my heartbeat. And during that first week, I started to feel deep wells of sadness, just extreme sadness. And I would start to cry for no reason. I didn't know why at the time, but I know now. I realized that after that near death experience, I could never return to being the same. I could never return to state to the same state of mind, to the same state of being that I had before. I lost my innocence, and my reality had shattered. The veil of my reality had been torn. My reality had turned into fantasy. It's been a couple years since I experienced the symptoms, and I don't remember them as well, but luckily I journaled my experiences. For depersonalization, I wrote, the experience of depersonalization is like looking through a glass wall. On the other side is, well, you. You're watching your every moment, your every movement, and you're watching your thoughts, but you're detached from yourself. It's like being in the body of another person. They're making their own actions, they're thinking their own thoughts. You're just there to witness them. You're not present with them. To those of you who have never experienced depersonalization, it'll be like in partying very, very hard, drinking as much as possible to the point where you black out. The next day, you wake up and shit's everywhere, and there's a tiger in the fucking bathroom, and you're just trying to wonder what the fuck happened, what went on, and your friends tell you about all the crazy things you did, about how you hit someone, you punched someone, you threw up, you streaked around naked. Not saying that I ever did any of these things, guys, but but they tell you about all the things you do, and you're like, wow, I did those things, and you're just kind of like wondering how that's possible because you don't remember any of it, and you weren't there. You weren't there. You don't remember any of it. You weren't really experiencing it. You weren't present to the moment of the actions, and that's what depersonalization is like. For derealization, I wrote, derealization, on the other hand, is like living in a constant dream. Everything, your thoughts, your movements, your vision, everything is foggy, everything is surreal. creates a feeling of absolute apathy. And for me, it led to recklessness because I just wanted to feel something, anything. I just wanted to feel. People think grief and sadness are the worst emotions to ever experience. They think public embarrassment is the worst thing that could ever happen to them. It's not. The worst thing to ever experience is no emotion, no feelings at all. Not feeling anything is the closest thing to being inhuman, to being a robot that just goes about his day to day life, to just being completely dead inside, just a walking zombie. In spite of the feelings of absolute hopelessness, the desire to just stop existing, the fears of being around people, the anxiety and everything, I refused to get treatment. I actually didn't tell anyone that I had depression. Not until I got to college, there's a lot of social stigma around depression. Some people think depression is not a real thing. Some people think um, people with depression are just looking for attention. That people with depression are just something to be shoved away, something to be put away because they don't understand it. And that just creates more isolation and it only leads to worsening of the condition. As for me, I decided not to tell anyone and I decided not to take any medication because I try to resolve all my um, all my issues, all my conditions as naturally as possible through diet, through exercise, through um, through meditation, through things of that nature. And I was able to rise above my depression. I was able to climb out of that deep, dark hole. It was my own experiment. And I'm so glad I did because it led to so much growth. And through the course of the 5 years from my sophomore year of high school to around the second half, the second semester of my sophomore year in college, I I had a roller coaster of emotions, a roller coaster of sadness, of apathy, of happiness, of just everything that I could experience. And it has made me appreciate having emotions, appreciate all the emotions, all the spectrum of emotions from sadness to happiness to joy to grief to anger to shame to guilt to whatever emotion that there is because emotions tell you that you're alive and it tells you that there's something you care about. There's something that you find important, that you're passionate about. And that is definitely a good thing. I gained apathy because I was running away from my emotions. I just didn't want to feel anymore. I just didn't want to feel sad anymore. I didn't want to feel angry anymore. And that led to me just wanting to stop existing, just stop living. I didn't want to commit suicide. I just wanted for the pain to stop. I don't think the people who commit suicide from depression are cowards. I think it's something that takes an amazing amount of courage, an amazing amount of pain. Depression, derealization, and depersonalization are all gifts because they have forced me to develop the skill set necessary to handle extreme amounts of psychological stresses. And in being able to handle all these stresses, I have developed a deep sense of self efficacy that I will be able to handle whatever life presents me. Instead of seeing it as a curse or mental illness, see it as a tool, as a guiding compass. Because your mind, your heart, your soul, whatever you want to call it, is telling you no more lies. I will not allow you to lie to me any longer.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my god, stop fucking lying. Always lying to me. Too much. Lying so much, you know. You making it hard for me.
I personally believe that people with depression are people who can't run away from themselves. They're people who can't run away from the truth about their lives, about their beliefs, about their relationships, about the people around them. It lets you know that I'm unhappy, that there are deep issues that we need to resolve, and we need to resolve them now. This is not how I want to live my life. And until you take the time to resolve this issue, until you take the time to have some introspection and to think about whatever issue needs to be resolved, I will not stop. I will not relent because you deserve better. And I refuse to settle for less. Suppressing it with medication for a time being does not treat the underlying issue. It only treats the symptoms of depression. The underlying issue is that you don't accept yourself, that you feel inadequate, that you don't feel worthy, that you feel broken, that you feel unloved. And until you work with that, until you settle that, the depression will always be there. No amount of medication will ever resolve that. You must understand that you need to be vulnerable and you need to share your experiences with others. I know it's scary and I know it's something that none of us want to do, especially when finding yourself in such a vulnerable position. But it will let you connect with others. It will let you see that there are many people through all walks of life, in all sorts of situations. People who you would think are happy and content, they're going through the same thing. People who have all the money, who have the admiration, who have the fame, whatever else, that are still going through depression. You're not alone. I was a class clown. I wrestled varsity in high school, and I had a bunch of acquaintances. I wouldn't call myself popular, but there were a lot of people that liked me. And on the outside, it looked like my life was perfect. It looked like I should have had every single reason to be happy, but I was not. I was severely depressed, and it would have helped if I had known that I wasn't the only one. You're not broken. You're not fucked up. You must learn to love and accept yourself. You must learn to be real and to express yourself in spite of what other people think. Because what you think and your own happiness is more important. Because at the end of the day, you have to live with you. And if you're not happy with your life because you are living a life that makes everybody else around you less scared or more comfortable, but you're unhappy with who you are, then what's the whole fucking point? I wish you the best of luck. Have a wonderful day. Peace out.